able to sit down and watch Moonrock for Monday last night in a cinema, and I have to say congratulations on such a fantastic film.
Oh, well, thank you. That means a lot. I really appreciate that. Thank you for saying that.
So, Kurt, where did the original idea for the film come from? Because it feels so personal that it feels like this is based on something that really happened.
Yeah, I guess from my own experiences, I was born with like really, really bad eyesight, like I had cataracts, myopia, and all that kind of stuff. And I guess my dad used to kind of tell me if you go down to the salt water, if you go in the ocean, 'cause we live by the beach, the water can kind of heal your cuts or anything like that. So we'd always jump in the water and getting cuts, and I guess I could always go into the water and kind of open up my eyes underwater and like try and fix them in this weird kind of way. And it always come out with like these bloodshot red eyes. And Mum would always be like, "What are you doing?" But I guess for me, it was about kind of healing. And I guess Monday has a terminal illness, which is much worse than like bad eyesight. But I really wanted to make something kind of dramatic and put my heart and soul into it. So I guess that's the original inception of it.
So you come from a background of being a short filmmaker. What did that feel like when you were going into pre-production for your first feature, and then what did it feel like when you actually set foot on set for day one?
I don't think anything can really kind of prepare you for a feature film, like especially if you kind of involved financially and like on a production kind of level of it. Like no short film really could kind of get us ready, but yeah, it was definitely tricky. I mean, even before you step on the set, you kind of it's 3 years of getting to pre-production, and all during pre-production because we're so short on money. I kind of kept thinking, oh, okay, we're going to have to close down the office next week or the week after, but somehow, I don't know, we made it to set, and it kind of felt pretty real on set, and I kind of love being on set. Like, it's really fun. Hopefully you've done all the hard work in pre-production and you can kind of enjoy set life, so it was pretty fun, but challenging.
Yeah. You mentioned before that the general story of this film is about healing for Monday. Now, a lot of people probably would have taken the easy way out and made the story that Monday goes on a journey with her dad to Uluru, but you've made this a very interesting story by bringing in the character of Tyler, a convict on the run. Tell us a little bit about where that concept came from, that you were going to get Monday to the Northern Territory in an interesting way.
Oh, geez, you know what? I always kind of envisioned it with like I guess it's never the destination; it's always the journey kind of thing. And it always kind of, I don't know why, but it always kind of made sense that she was going to run away with like a kind of naughty kid, a naughty street kid, and that was the journey, like their friendship, their story. That's kind of the destination in a way. If that makes sense.
Yeah, definitely. So tell us a little bit about the casting, because you got very, very lucky with two sensational casting choices there, with George playing Tyler first of all, and then of course also Ashlyn playing Monday. Tell us a little bit about that casting choice and how you knew they were both perfect for those roles.
Okay, yeah. So I guess I'm trying to cast a 10-year-old girl. I thought would be so tricky. I think you put out lots of ads and stuff like that, and it was definitely going to be a hard role to fill. But I went through these audition tapes, and as soon as I saw Ashlyn, I just knew she was kind of Monday. I couldn't believe it. And then we met her in person, and in her interview, we put her through like a really good scene, and she started crying in it, and it was so touching. And she was not just crying for crying's sake, but she was trying to stop herself from crying. And I don't know, I just couldn't believe that kind of level of acting. And she's super quirky and super fun, so she was always destined to be Monday for me. But Georgie, on the other hand, I saw George, and I think he just got off packed to the rafters or something, and he had this long, blonde, beautiful hair, beautifully tanned, very muscular. And I thought, there's no way this guy can play a street kid. Look at him, he's like an Adonis. He's amazing. But he lost about 10 kilos. He shaved his head and started kind of dressing in kind of 90s old school baggy kind of clothes, and he really earned the role. He just put so much into it. You know, we're filming this scene where he was running along this dust field, and he has to kind of like fall on the ground a couple of times. And I remember looking at the end of the second take, and he'd had blood all down his kind of arms and stuff, and I was like, man, I think we need to do it again. And he's just like, yeah, jumped up, ready to do it again. Like, I just really threw everything he had into the role, which was phenomenal for us.
There's a real feel of Heath Ledger from Two Hands around George in this film, I thought. Was that something that you picked up on as well?
Oh, wow. I think that's such a compliment to him. That's amazing. I actually didn't notice, no. And I don't think it was intentional on my behalf, but maybe Georgie's. But, yeah, it's pretty cool.
Yeah. The other performance, too, that I found so great last night was Aaron Jeffrey, and it was interesting that you just said about George like being an Adonis. When I was growing up, and this is showing my age, Aaron Jeffrey was the pretty boy on Water Rats, but over the last few years we've seen him play some really dramatic roles. What was it like working with Aaron, and how did you get him involved with the project as well?
Yeah, so first it was great working with him. The producer hooked up a meeting. We went and had a coffee and had a chat, and he was really cool. It was really, and I thought, oh man, he's pretty massive. He's pretty big and domineering. You know, I didn't really kind of think that the role would kind of look like that. But it's funny when you kind of combine Monday and Aaron together, he kind of works. He's big and they kind of don't really have a connection at the start, you know, and so it kind of works for the character and the role and their relationship. So yeah.
Yeah, and talking of the cast, I have to ask, being a rabbit owner myself, how difficult was it to get Bacon to do what you needed Bacon to do in some of those scenes?
Oh my god, that rabbit! We actually have to film with him on a train station. Which is kind of hard enough, and I don't know why anyone didn't slap me and say, don't do this rabbit and do this stuff. It was a 90s kind of style train station as well, so, you know, when you're filming a train, you have to push him forward and bring him back and then push him forward, and trying to get that rabbit on the train was such a nightmare. But actually, Ashlyn, who plays Monday, had a real connection with the rabbit. And at the end of production, I actually got a board and wanted just to say thank you for pouring your heart into the role.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was great.
The other thing, too, that really comes across in this film is the locations. Tell us a little bit about you going and searching for locations, because I believe you actually took a drive out towards Cooper Pedy to actually find the locations that you needed for this film.
Yeah, look, I don't know what we were thinking, you know. We filmed over 3 different states, which is pretty silly for, like, you know, your first film. Like, we did everything wrong. We weren't meant to do. I think we drove 30,000 kilometers in a 1960s Datsun, which had to kind of be a Datsun because it was like, set in the 90s. But it was kind of a bit of a nightmare trying to find locations that are kind of, you know, 90s period-esque. Especially in Sydney, but once you kind of get through the Pedy and stuff, it's really cool. Like, anywhere you kind of point the camera, it just looks phenomenal, you know. We went on a little journey, the producer Jimmy and the DOP Glenn Harns, for a week, and I think I came back with an extra 20 pages of scripts, you know, just from seeing these amazing locations that I had to kind of include in the final film.
Yeah, well, it looks absolutely amazing. And I was going to ask as well, was there a reason why you set the film in the 90s? Because it feels like such a timeless tale that it could have been set at any time. Was there a reason why you chose the 90s as the setting for the film?
Because I'm the silliest director ever. It's the hardest kind of thing to do. But I guess I kind of grew up in the 90s, and I wanted an excuse to have like a 90s kind of style soundtrack. I kind of love the clothing of the 90s, you know, baggy jeans and stuff like that, and 20s. And yeah, I guess it kind of makes sense as well. Like, nowadays you have GPS, you have cell phones and stuff like that, and, you know, you can kind of track anything. But back then, less so. So it kind of fit into the story, I guess, in my defense.
Yeah. You mentioned the amazing soundtrack, and it's got an absolutely fantastic rock soundtrack. How hands-on were you with selecting those tracks that you ended up using in the film?
Yeah, I guess I would have blown the whole budget on the music if I had it my way. But Jimmy kind of like brought me back to earth and kind of gave me a couple of songs. But it was really cool. We had Prue, who's a composer, and I gave her a couple of sample songs that we really, really liked, and she would go and put her own kind of spin on those songs and kind of recreate them for us. And so we kind of got really lucky in that regard.
Yeah. Now, the film opens in Australia on April 22nd for all of our listeners out there, but the film's also got an overseas distribution. Tell us a little bit about how that's come about and how many countries so far has the film been signed up to be screened in?
Oh, right. So we got Wasabi is our sales agent, and they've been really great. They kind of had to get into festivals for us, which is really tricky because when we were going to festivals, COVID was hitting, and all the festivals were kind of shutting down, or any of those that were kind of working were reducing their intake massively. So we kind of finished making the film, and Jimmy and I kind of looked at each other going, oh, well, we made a film, but no one's going to see it, you know. But we got into this German film festival, and we ended up kind of winning that, which was cool. And then after that, all these other kind of film festivals overseas kind of started taking on board, which was just such a buzz, because we kind of weren't really expecting it. But the international response to it has been really, really cool, because I guess not a lot of films kind of showcase the Australian landscape in a positive kind of way.
Yeah.
So I think that kind of helped us in a way.
Definitely. Well, mate, to finish off, I'd love to ask, what would you like to say to our listeners out there before they head out and check out this film next Thursday?
I guess thank you so much for supporting an indie Australian film with a little bit of heart. So thank you.
Awesome. Well, mate, thank you so much for chatting to us today. It's been an absolute pleasure chatting to you, and I have to say, I cannot wait to see what your next film project is going to be as well.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate that.
Not a problem, mate. I'll let you go. Have a great day, but hopefully we get to talk in the future with your next film.
Great day. See you later.
No problem. Bye.